All right, buddy. We're recording. So
Okay.
you better be careful what you say, sir.
Of
Because now
course.
now everyone knows what the way you talk to me.
I know. I would never speak to you that way, at least in public. Yes.
Do you want to do the welcome to two C's or you want me to do it?
You always do it, dude. Although I've been thinking about we should do some little more production as we get into this. Like I've been playing around with production in our
Oh,
movie.
dude.
You've been playing around with stuff. Like I've been, doing a little announcer voice stuff. You have like amazing announcer voice. So we really need to like probably sell out on some like full on a two C's intro video. Does that make
Let's do it.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to happen.
All right. Well,
You
welcome
do it.
back to two C's with a pod. I'm AC,
I'm Matt.
MC
Oh.
Hammer.
Exactly. The more I think about that, I'm always like, I like Famer now. I've kind of changed it
Famer,
up to a
yeah.
whole thing, yeah. But
Yeah.
it never really came from MC Hammer. It's my initials, right?
Yeah.
That's
but-
the weird thing. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. This whole time you have not been wearing the baggy pants and doing the
Totally unrelatedly, I have, but it had nothing to do with MC Hammer. No. Actually, no. Again, yeah, it's the Matt Campbell thing, and then again, it's the ironic name of being Hammer when you can't play. That was my baseball nickname at one point, and I could not hit. So again,
was it from correct me if I'm wrong. Did it have anything to do with the Hammer Fred Williamson? Remember the Chiefs guy from
Who was
the
amazing.
60s, and then he was I think
Hammer.
he went to
Hammer
be
and
an
Slammer.
actor. Yeah, he
Yeah,
went to be an
100%.
actor, and yeah.
I'm gonna get you, sucker. Hammer and
Yeah.
Slammer. That's who Chris Rock. Chris Rock comes into their rib joint, right? And probably again, Chris Rock's greatest performance. How much for an order of rib? That again, this is give him an Oscar.
Port my hand for 10 cents.
Exactly.
Got change for 100.
Yeah, he could never top that, Chris Rock, by the way. And
Uh,
I loved Hammer and Slammer. Like I would name everything. Yeah, it was like Hammer and Slammer. Yeah. It all came together.
Well, we are looking at a blank screen. This is
That
a pardon the interruption style show. So this is kind of we just.
Which one are you? Are you
Oh.
Wilbon?
Probably.
I think you're Wilbon for sure.
think?
Like it's not even close. Oh, I'm the like cranky older guy. Yeah, Kornheiser.
Well,
Yeah, I don't.
see,
I'm not proud of it. I'm just saying that's probably who I am. I think Wilbon's cooler.
Is it fair to say that I've watched just a handful of PTIs? Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, I mean, it's just
I used to when I was a big watching following sports and had time to do it. I watched it quite a bit, even though I kind of hated myself for it.
it just
That and the other one, the Around the Horn.
around the
I
horn
kinda
where
like-
they'd cut people off. Yeah, see, I could see those, but like they just weren't on at times where I was like watching TV, right? So they
Sure.
were on like 4 in the
Yeah.
afternoon or something like that.
Exactly. They're like daytime shows.
Right. Well, we're doing a pardon the interruption today. Just various. We're gonna catch all here. We're gonna get what I feel like you and I know where each other stands on some of these topics, but I don't think that our
world
audience, the world knows.
Yes.
So I think it's time for us to catch people up where we stand.
Good. The
All
pardon
right?
the interruption,
Yeah,
where we
pardon the
stand.
interrupt- where we stand.
2020. Here we go.
All right. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. Watch this. Watch this little transition ski. Look at that. Gotta
I'm
go
real
right
nervous.
there and looky there. Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay. All right. So where you at on the masks, Matt? And
Well-
your time has started now. Go.
Okay, thank you. I'm with the scientific experts, the doctors, the people who tend to know stuff about things, and especially these kind of things, the epidemiologists, things like that, which I'm pretty proud I just mostly got that word out. But yeah, so I'm
You think in order
100%
to be an epidemiologist, like the first,
you have to say it. Oh
you
yeah,
have to say it. Like, I want to be an epidemiologist. And they're like, cool. That's first step.
you passed.
proceed.
Exactly. That may be the only test. I don't know. Hopefully it's a little bit more after that. But again, because it's really a tough word. Here's my thing on mask. I think for the little inconvenience that they give us, for the protection that they ultimately help with, it's a cost benefit. You I feel like are one of the big cost benefit. Make a list. Go what's the good and bads of a thing. And to me, masks are one of the very simplest things that we can do to help to prevent some of these things that from spreading. And it is just getting, if you watch the news and spend any time with it, it is depressingly bad on how bad it's getting again. So mask, big pro mask. I'll yield my time and then.
Wow. So you got that one out in like a minute. We might have the world's
I
fastest
feel
show.
No, that's okay.
I feel like there's going to be a point, counterpoint.
Exactly.
We'll get back, and then we're just going to say, all right, we're down to a minute, get it out.
You're going to say something. I'm going to say something that infuriates you or vice versa. And then it's really going to get going.
So here's where I am on the masks. I'm going to say that I lean anti-mask. Okay. But kind of similar AC
I'm
fashion.
already do this. Just tell me what anti-mask means to you then first. Can you do that for me? Like, I guess I don't have. So you're saying.
Well,
really,
let me tell you where I have an issue with it, and it specifically comes from a very selfish place, as I always do. Specific to, we get an email. Now I'm going to back up. I remember when this first thing started. There was a lot of talk about like, don't rush out to buy masks, save those for the emergency people. You don't need a mask. A mask isn't going to protect you. All of that. There was a lot of talk about that back in February. Go ahead.
No. I got to take notes though, because I will forget some of this.
Okay.
So please go. Okay.
So there was a lot
mask won't protect you in February.
There was a lot of that. There was a lot of that conversation.
Yes.
So, okay. Now I'm going to give folks the benefit of the doubt in that this is the first time we've ever encountered this, right? So we've learned a lot. So over the course of time, we're allowed to change our mind and say, you know what? We tried it this way. It didn't work. We need to go this way. And okay. So from that standpoint, I get guidelines from the county on the spread of this. And there's a lot of factors to the spread. And one is duration, proximity, density. There's a list of these things, right? So initially it comes out and it says, if you can guarantee social distance, no need. If people are going to be in your establishment 10 to 15 minutes or less, no need. The number of employees that you have, all of these factors weigh in. So I go through and I look at how my business operates, and I'm looking at a sample size of one. And I look and I say, you know what, masks should be optional for my establishment. And the reason why is I'm not Walmart. I don't have thousands of people rolling through here. I don't have people bumping shoulders on aisles. I get people in it. People are in and out of here in 5 to 10 minutes, unless I talk to them, in which case they're there for 45 minutes. But right. I digress. We work one or two people. Okay. Yes. So I can maintain distance between employees. I can maintain distance between customers. I can maintain all of this. Okay. So I go through the guidelines and I say, you know what, we'll just make it optional. And what we'll do is if our customers wear it, we'll wear it. If our customers don't wear it, we won't wear it. So, I think I've told you in the past, I said, I will create a welcoming, safe environment, but I will not be your social distance police. That was Annika, by the way. She wasn't feeling well today. So she's hanging out in here. And no, it's not the COVID. She has a tummy ache.
It is an interesting time.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the tummy ache is where it starts.
Of course it isn't.
Also, just don't think she wanted to go to school today. But we'll talk about that.
I've never done that in my life. Never once.
So then a day later, we get an email from the health department. Masks are mandatory. Mm-hmm. As the business owner, you are required to refuse service to anyone not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
In the same guidelines, it says there will be certain people that have medical conditions. The only questions you're allowed to ask your customers are these because of medical conditions? You are not allowed to ask the customer, what is your medical condition? Prove it. All of these things. So in essence, they make it an optional thing to the point where I could walk into any store that I want, flat out lie, and say, got a medical condition, and you can't say, what is your condition? Why can't you
Of
wear a
course not.
mask or
It's
anything like
HIPAA.
that?
No,
Right.
that's HIPAA.
Right.
HIPAA
So
preventive.
in essence, the Americans with Disabilities Act has made masks optional. And that's why I lean anti-mask. I also lean anti-mask because I am not your enforcement agency. I'm not. You should not put it on me to enforce your. The
I
health
get,
department. The health department puts it on us to
and
enforce.
that's sure, no
And it's
doubt. But I mean, you also enforce different things, right? Too, that are health department related. Does that make
not
sense?
necessarily to my customers.
Ooh, no shoes, no feet, no
Don't give a
shirt, no
shit.
shoes, no
Come on in.
service.
Come on in. I don't care.
Is that a thing now? I mean, that's
Dude,
that, I don't know.
we have people bring dogs into our store.
Oh, of course they
And it's
do.
like,
Oh, dogs
really?
are the worst. Of
You're going
course
to
they
bring a
do.
dog in here?
These
Like
people bring dogs into everywhere now.
So here's
It's
the other thing
nonsense.
on the here's the other thing on the masks
Okay.
that I've seen people do. Okay, people are not bulletproof with these masks, yet they act that way. And here's why. Let me just share my
Okay.
experience with. Okay, so I get people, they roll in, they got their masks on. Several people pay with cash. Do not use the complimentary hand sanitizer.
Oh,
Is there not a disagreement there? Just in like that. That's where I'm like, okay, that's where I get a little confused. All right, go ahead.
The idea that everyone is ideologically pure at all times is impossible standard to hold anyone to. That's number one. Number two, you can't it isn't actually spread so much from touch, at least from the early things that we know, as it is from, again, why masks are being pushed is because they really do feel it's from the droplets and from the things that we release when we talk, when we cough, when we are breathing, when we literally just breathe. That can get caught up in a mask and can help with that. And so I think there's two. It's not an equivalency. It's a false equivalency that we're kind of making there.
Well, hold on.
The thing I would make about the lockdown, and I guess my point is the lockdown. When they were saying masks weren't necessary is when they were asking people to be in phase 1 early lockdown, when everything was closed, when there was no, which a lot of states are going back to, by the way, Andy. Some of these early states that have opened back up are now already back to no more gatherings of 10. They are closing all restaurants and everything down. It is back to square one for them. So that's when you didn't need masks. You're right, because and that was when there was also a mask shortage until God bless them, the capitalists in America decided to start making masks, and now there are masks for everything, of every sports team, of every kind of, I want a mask that says keep Patrick Mahomes safe, wear a mask. That's been my favorite mask that I've seen, because to me that truly is the most important thing we can do here is save Pat of all these things. He's worth $450 million. We cannot let him get to COVID. But I guess to me, again, it goes back to that I can't believe it has come to this political issue when it's a minor inconvenience in life, if that makes sense to me.
Well, when I
put it on and I go into your store and I get a smoothie and I walk out, I can't imagine that is enough of a convenience or an inconvenience for me to go. I might have a higher chance of getting this horrible pandemic that kills people, or I might have this little inconvenience of you can't hear me talk a little bit for a second and we got to talk through it. I mean, I'm sorry, Andy. I don't think the until it hits you. I mean, I will tell you that Deanna's cousin got COVID. And I saw it firsthand from a guy that was just a little bit older than us, what it is and what it does to people. He was a healthy man before this. They just don't know. And getting this is not worth that. I mean, it's not worth worrying about a mask. And in my mind, that will always be my argument. I mean, I can't, I don't know. I just see too many people dying from it in a horrible way.
So the other things that I said about the duration, proximity, density, those types of things, you don't think that those...
Your business is different, Andy. I'm not saying I would feel semi-comfortable going maskless into your business relatively.
Because we also have,
I probably wouldn't, because I just, again, I don't find it to be enough of an inconvenience to bother me. I would roll in with a mask and roll out because it wouldn't bother me. I would work through it. But what I'm saying is that I also, in your particular business, yes, you have a unique business because it's right. Constant in, traffic in some ways in and out. It's not like more than 10, 15 people in a room at one time. If you remember, the CDC guidelines, even for phase 1, was 10 people in a room. You weren't supposed to have 10 people. You don't have that. Very rarely do you have that, right?
I wish I did.
I know. I don't mean to I hate to say that because I wish you did. I really do.
I wish I did. All right. We're down to 30 seconds on this topic.
Okay,
so,
cool. Well, we've had our time, I think.
Yeah.
But you finish up, though.
Okay. So I am wearing a mask. When, customer comes in, I've got a mask on. It's like a fishing mask, comfortable enough. So no issue. I do notice that I touch my face more after the mask because it itches. So
right. It's not foolproof.
It's a weird thing, but also people in your car alone, quit wearing your mask.
It probably is unnecessary.
Okay.
Although again, I'm pro mask.
So you think your car is contaminated?
No, of course not, Andy. But what I'm saying is that there's the timer.
There's our timer.
Timer's up.
All right.
The producer says next topic.
They're saying moving on. We're moving on.
Moving on.
All right. Next topic is current.
Oh, we just
NFL stadium restrictions. Something that just came up today. Our friends in Baltimore, the Great Went. Yeah. Is that? Do I have that right?
The Great Went. Kev.
Shout out to the Great Went. His Baltimore Ravens said that they are going to be at 14,000 capacity. The Chiefs and Packers also announced that they will have restriction, but they didn't put a number on it. So from what we're seeing with the Ravens, which generally early adopters are going to kind of set the bar, and that's kind of what we're going to see, right?
Correct.
They're at a 20% capacity, less than 20%. That's a 71,000 stadium, 71,000 seat stadium. That's going to.
You ran the numbers. I love that.
Now, I read an article that said it was like
18.3,
and I just remember it.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to be less.
You have to say that, that. No one would.
Well, I'll just cut it out. I'll edit it out. Yeah, I ran the numbers. So we're going to be less than 20%. As you and I have discussed in the past, like I told you about Ray's trip this year, that it literally the greatest road. Like if you look at the Chiefs schedule this year, this year's Chiefs home schedule is garbage, and their road schedule is like the most amazing schedule. You got the new LA stadium. You got the new Vegas stadium. You got Tampa. You got New Orleans. You got
We had a
Miami.
show about this, didn't we? We had a show where we talked about this. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like the greatest road schedule. Not a chance you're going to go.
Not happening.
Not a chance. So,
unless it's some sort of weird lottery. If you can get on, if they do some sort of open day of sale, but again, that's going to be all scalpers.
But if you think about historically, the Chiefs have had, I don't know, I want to say it's about 65,000 season ticket holders. Then they open it up to Jackson County.
Yeah.
Right. You got that Jackson County sale, and then you've got, whatever's remaining, right?
You're not getting in a stadium.
But you're not getting into a stadium this year. And even if we were, historically, we've been 250 to $300. That was our ticket price.
Right.
You're looking at $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 to get in.
Correct. And the question will be, what will the NFL do? Will the NFL surely. Now, these are some of the cold-heartedest businessmen in America, okay? But do they themselves raise the price? Or do they somehow, and what they should do is somehow figure out a system that was fair to allow and to keep scalpers out. I mean, it's 14,000 tickets a game.
Well,
so there's got to be some way to sell 14,000 tickets in a hopefully semi-fair, non-scalper trade market that would, get fans, hopefully keep fans in it too, and not keep, I don't know. It's just such a weird, maybe you in some ways, I don't know, you give them away, but that would never be fair either in that system. It's just it's a bizarre deal that, again, I think we've talked about I'll let you go next. Obviously, you can talk about what we've talked about a little bit is, will this even happen?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's a moot point. I
Correct.
don't think that. I mean, we're having trouble getting the NBA in a bubble city,
Soccer.
right?
Soccer starts today. I got an alarm for that. I got to make sure it don't go off. I don't think it will. But soccer starts today. They've had all kinds of teams. They got like
Yeah.
the FC Dallas has like 6 players with it. They're doomed. I mean, I
Well,
shouldn't
and
say
even
doomed.
well,
But
okay. So
the
even
league.
if you have it, you have a season.
Yeah.
Okay. Sunday morning, Deshaun Watson rolls into NRG Stadium, and he's running a 101.
The game. I mean, why play the game? The game isn't fun anymore, right? It's not right. Maybe he doesn't even have COVID, like you're saying, right?
But he's got a 101, and you're not.
I ain't playing his ass. I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but you ain't putting me on that field with someone that's got a fever. Pass. I ain't playing with him. He shouldn't be playing. I mean, that's what I think it's such a star-driven league. Like you're talking about baseball. Baseball, you could probably get away with that. People want baseball so bad, and there's a level of like, you could probably throw anybody out there right now, and so if you said, if you lost, let's say the Royals lost a couple guys, but they don't have all-stars, so I shouldn't say that, but like,
Salvador has it.
Ross. Okay, that's right. Salvi got it, right?
Yeah,
Salvi got it. So exactly. So there's a level of like, if you asking me to go watch the whole season last year was Salvi-less, and it was terrible. I mean, even Salvi brings like such a weird vibe to the team, like a good vibe, like a fun and cool thing. Like it wasn't even this fun without him, even whether they're good or bad. He's been on horrible teams, and been still fun with him to watch, and some of these players. So baseball still has a problem if they're losing their stars as well, because no one wants to see,
And here's the other thing is our guy Patrick Mahomes is I think he can start paying us back that payday loan that we gave him. Pat, we kind of want to get paid. Matt and I we chipped in and gave him some money when he got here. Remember that?
Yeah,
and it was, we
it's like it was an investment in some ways.
It was, and we're just like, hey, Pat,
it's already paid back.
We just like to get that paid back. I think he can afford it.
He gave us the Super Bowl, but he can afford it. But part of me goes like, he gave us that parade. Yes, he can't afford it though.
But now these guys, there's a lot of these guys that are making so much money that it does not, like, for them to sit out a season.
It's okay.
Like if you're
saying it's bad or good. I don't know. They'll lose a lot of money, but they're also not destitute.
They'll lose a lot of money, but they're also not going to.
They're honestly,
not going to. They're making enough money to where sitting out is not an issue, and this may go to a larger conversation, right? Because there's certain people that right now can be like, well, I'm just going to work from home. I'm going to work from home. I'm going to stay at home. I'm not going out.
My wife.
And they can afford to do that because they do their job allows it. Whereas some people, for example, in the restaurant industry or the casino industry or something, there is magical about your workplace that requires you to be at work.
Be in a physical location.
And those people that are making anywhere from 15 to say $50 an hour cannot afford to say, no can do. I'm going to sit out. I'm going to sit out.
It's the vendors. It's the people that depend on all that money, all those guys selling beer. It's all those, again, that's all a lot of charities that love that money and working through there. But then there's also just actual ancillary, employees that, are, it's terrible.
The guy taking the parking money, the guy scanning your tickets, the guy
it's
a whole
economy. It's sad. It's sad, but again, it goes back to this argument of like safety over money, and money provides safety. Don't get me wrong. Like I know the argument of like you have to have money to pay the bills and to, and all those things to feed your family and all those things. But again, you can't also do any of those things if you're dead or in the emergency room or you have someone close to you who is. Sometimes we feel like you just have to get it to be affected. Well, I mean, if I'm, if my mother-in-law gets exposed or gets it, or my mother, anybody that's, any grandparents, any people that you're around, it's just a really tricky and hard situation then. So I've got some friends in California, a buddy of ours that was waiting in a 2-hour line to get tested because his grandma is getting kind of later on in life and he doesn't want to be around her. Oh,
She
that's what it's
she
all
just
about.
needed a hug ski.
Exactly. Well,
She's all
that
right.
brings it
She's
all
okay.
into
Yeah, she's
perspective.
all right. She just needed a hug ski. Her tummy's not
Exactly.
feeling
How
good.
much time we got on this one?
3 minutes and 25 seconds.
3 minutes. The NFL.
So,
Let's
so
talk
the
about
NFL. So to me, this is one where you're just not going to get a season. I don't think you're going to get a season. I think if you are going to get a season, it's going to be, and the other thing too is like, here's a point about you got 76,000 people in Arrowhead Stadium, making it very difficult for the opposing quarterback to hear. What's that look like? That's kind of been part
Have
of
you watched the soccer? I mean, if you watch the soccer games, it's got this pumped in noise. It's bizarre. It's
is it pumped in like, but
the question is,
soccer's different, right? It's soccer is a little different, right? Where
soccer doesn't have the Andy, I don't know though. It's interesting. It's pretty intimidating and it's pretty hard. And when you look at the records of some of these teams, you go, well, yeah, no, there is a home field advantage, dude. And whether it's the fans, whether it's playing on the field they win at home. Question, yeah, but go ahead.
I was going to say, I think there's a home field advantage, like when you would play in like a Denver or a Salt Lake City.
Oh, for the
elevation. Elevation.
Sure.
So I think that you've got that.
And some of the crowd noise stuff has gone away, honestly. When Andy, you remember Arrowhead in the 90s, that building then, because of the technology in some ways hadn't caught up with the loud noises, in some loud noises.
Loud noises.
but that's, if you remember, that's kind of what the quarterbacks looked like brick that would come into Arrowhead. They'd be like, loud, no, I can't, I literally can't function, where they were like, well, Jesus, we're going to have to like pump into the mic, to the helmets, a microphone so that they can hear the calls even. So there's a level of some of that has gone away, but I would still disagree that there's no home field advantage, right?
There's a definite home field advantage that
gambling will tell you that.
Yeah.
Like there's always like a 3-point, spread.
And I think we'll see how that is in the NBA, right? So we're the neutral, the Lakers and the Bucks, right? Or the two best teams in their conferences.
Soccer's doing the same thing.
Was it because of the environments that you're playing in? I don't know, but I think that those environments, they do. I think they do, like an NBA crowd, man. You can kind of see like when there's
you said, the two top teams that are so close, then yes, that little makes a difference. But if you're talking about, so your example's great, but if you're talking about the Lakers and some other toilet team, and that's there's nothing that was going to help them.
Let's say it's a difference between 2 points. Let's say the home field gets you 2 points in basketball, and in the NFL it gives you 4 points. There are a lot of games that are decided by less than 4 points.
Exactly.
And so now
100%. Free throws come on,
sure.
Free throws at the end of the game, when the game's on the line and there's no one cheering and telling you to F off and everything else and throwing crap at you and stuff, and it's just silent. It may be hard on them somewhat in some ways to do that as well. Oh, time is up.
Time's up over plow. All right.
Boom.
Next topic is opening schools back up. You had quite the little back and forth with the missus there on that was on the opening of schools. So
we had a little.
Would you like me to start?
We had a 2 C's, separate 2 C's. We didn't have a 3 C's, which we usually have a lot of. We had a little 2 C's, but not this C.
Well, let me start here, because we send our kids to summer school.
Yes.
Physically. They are required
and mentally, physically and mentally, hopefully.
Yeah. They
as
are
much as summer school, they're mentally there, but that's another topic. But
yeah. So, and honestly, the reason why the kids went to summer school is Elle wanted to take a PE class so that she can get another elective and take guitar in the fall.
Oh my God, so awesome. And here's the deal. That's exactly what, when I were discussing about it or whatever, I said, I can guarantee you that Elle wanted to go. There's a reason, and for a lot of kids, they want to go. They've been in the house for so long. It's brutal.
Now, if you catch me on smart ass side, I'm like, well, the girls have been together for 3 months. They're going to kill each other. So you either decide, do we want a murder case or do we take our chances with COVID?
That's
Pick your
awesome.
poison here.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
I know it's brutal.
here's what I would tell you is that when it first was signed up, the only ones that had to wear a mask were bus riders. Okay.
Yeah.
That changed. Everyone has to wear a mask now.
Right.
Both girls. So I drop Elle off in the morning. I'm sitting in the car rider line. Okay. We're not even in the building yet. She's not out of the car. She's got her mask on. And I was like,
mask on?
On.
Oh,
and
right,
I'm like, hey, you don't have to wear that. She's like, yeah, I know. So the kids are totally Annika. I've asked her a couple of times, like, hey, do you wear your mask all day? She's like, yeah, except for when we're eating and drinking. And
so you're saying they're doing great with it. Now
so
it is early, but
yeah,
yes, okay.
So
And
Annika gets in the car yesterday when we pick her up, and we're like, I don't know, out of the parking lot, like on the streets, the road, and we're like, hey, you can take your mask off. She's like, oh, I forgot I had it on. So we're noticing the kids seem to pick it up. They seem to be doing a lot better than.
Yeah, and it does kind of go back to the mask argument from the top. That there's a level of you get used to it in some ways, and it becomes not near as an inconvenience as it initially starts to be at first. Here's my argument, and here's where we got. I think we got a little bit sidetracked to where Twitter's lack of characters, not like there's many characters on Twitter, including myself and you and your wife and many characters. But I mean like the number of letters that you can actually type on there, those characters.
Yeah.
It makes it to have a real, it's great to tell someone else to F off and they tell you back to F off.
You know what's great for where this conversation is?
Yes, please.
Podcasts
are pretty good about that, right? Those are great. So sadly, again, me and Kara were not having a podcast conversation. We were having a Twitter conversation, and it got a little bit, I think, muddled in some ways because my argument is always going to be, or at least I think the only way to move forward possible is the hybrid kind of system that does. So I'll give you an example of where Blue Springs, we just got our email from Blue Springs. Blue Springs is allowing kids to, I think from 4th grade up, to choose to do online or go to school. And I think that there is the best scenario. And I would love to see parents that can, in which we will probably opt to keep the kids home. I hope that other parents do, because there are parents that can't. Or there's situations where it's just best for kids to be there. Now, here, let me say this. What I will never say, I had my principal turn and say to me, Matt, you're doing a great job with this online. I'm worried you're going to want to do online teaching. And I was like, this is the worst thing ever. It is so awful. Online is not real teaching, especially at the elementary school level. It's a joke. It cannot be done at a long-term level. It is disgustingly bad. So the idea that in any way, if I'm saying that we should do this, is only in a safety argument. It is not in an education argument. My kids, if they sit home, will not get the same education that the kids that go to school will get. Okay, I admit that, and I understand that. It is an equity issue. Now, that's a problem to me, and that's why the hybrid system is a little bit of an issue, because I'm choosing safety-wise to keep my kid home, and then they're going to get punished education-wise because they're not going to get near the education that they, would get in school. So that's where the hybrid system doesn't work great, because it's an equity thing, because the kids got to be there. So, and that's been my argument with the kids being out of school all along, is that kids will be fine. And the only problem that's going to be bad is if some kids go to school and some kids don't. That's when equity becomes a problem. If every kid is not in school at once in America, then no kid is getting, an advantage over another. But the minute that we start to allow some kids to go and some kids to stay and things like that, again, anyone in education will tell you, you have to be in those buildings to get a true education. So like, It's so bad and it's so scary. I'll be in the buildings probably. I have not heard anything from my particular district about what we're going to do, but this is Blue Springs just put this out. And as of right now, we have till July 17th to choose. Our choice is going to be to keep our kids at home, do the online stuff at home. And then when, again, when things get better and they can, I also want to tell you this, Andy, and I'll cede my time back. It also is relative to our kids' schools out here in where we live we don't say where we live, but my kids' elementary school has 600 students, 600 students, but that's insane. That's like, they have 5 sections of 5th grade, 5 sections of 4th grade. You know what I mean by sections, like, classes.
Yeah.
Kara, you get all the education talk. We can't just call them classes. We can't just say there's 5 classes. We have to use sections, like
5
it's a cool
teachers.
Education world. Yeah, exactly. We have 5 5th grade teachers classes. Yeah, that's huge. You think about how big that is, dude. We didn't have that. We had no more than 3. Sometimes it's 2. In my school, we had 2 4th grade teachers. So the idea that I would want to send my kid to a building with 600 kids in it right now I can't fathom it a little bit for me. But.
Yeah. So here's where I think they're using, in our school district, I think they're using summer school as a testing ground.
Of course, Andy, this is not, don't say think. Go ahead and say no, because that's what's happening.
Okay. So I know they're using it as a testing ground, right? So we're going to put, you're going to get a smaller,
it's a limited amount of kids.
Smaller kids going to summer school, because as our guy Scottie Pippen said, ain't gonna fuck up my summer.
Exactly.
I
didn't spend a day in summer school.
Me either.
These kids are weird. They want to go.
Not a one. And so, so they go to summer school and they test it out and see how it's doing, right?
And Andy, and Kara's argument, to go back to more to what your argument is and Kara's argument is, the kids are so tough and they're so smart, and like, we don't give them enough credit. And there is a level of, like, if you teach them what to do, they'll do it. And so,
but they need.
But there's an infrastructure problem too, Andy, because I will also tell you that, like, I was trying to tell her too, I can't go into a girl's restroom. Right. I mean, when I say the word can't, what I'm going to go ahead and say is I'm not going into the girl's restroom. It's not because I can't. I'm just not. So there's a level of, like, I cannot make sure that my girls, because again, I cannot have them all use the sink in my room. I love our custodians to death. We have one particular custodian who's an amazing guy, good friend of mine. The idea that they're going to keep the building safe unless they have about 5 more custodians hired, and pay them way more money and give them way better equipment and give them, I can't, Andy, Kara will tell you, right, how gross school buildings are.
Well, keep in mind, I work with the public.
I know. But your business, though, is clean as I've been in your business. Your business is clean as a whistle,
but there are
there's people.
There are times
people come in.
Probably once every week or 2, maybe twice a month, one of us will go into the bathroom, and then you'll just hear it. Oh God! Then you'll hear somebody come out, go, people are pigs.
Salad shooter or something.
We'll go in there. Well, dude,
I worked at Hy-Vee. You got to think at the grocery
and
business.
Even worse, right? We don't get a lot of people going in our bathrooms, but we get people that go in and destroy them. So, I totally get it.
The kids. Oh man, they poop all over the place. Pee all over the place.
Here's the thing about the opening schools.
Okay, I'll tell you a fun custodian just real quick. They find on the top of our urinals, which our urinals are not like trophy, they're more like the single urinals. He will find on the regular footprints on top of those. Okay, so these little ones is what it is. It's like first graders and second graders that climb up on top of the urinals and, like, use them as like a jungle gym. So this is amazing.
Just don't know how you get up there. I'd pull a hamstring.
Of course, it's honestly, it's like the 7 wonders of the world. Like, how is it? How I can't. It's beyond physics.
You can't put cameras in there. To figure it out.
Of course,
can't put cameras in there.
Chuck Berry tried that, by the way. Chuck.
So we're down to 1 minute on this one.
It is an interesting thing because I think go ahead. Sorry.
But well, what I was going to say is I think that you're going to, regardless of how you do it. So she came home today with a stomach ache.
Right.
If she would have, and last year she got sent home in September, afternoon recess, hot, humid day. She runs hot. So she, right after recess, they take her temperature. She's got a temperature. Give her 15 minutes and she'll cool down, right? But
I know.
You're going to
That's
have
the other
situations where these kids, they'll have a fever or they'll be symptomatic. You're out for 2 weeks. It's like my employees. Say the magic word.
Yeah.
Say the magic word and you're gone for 2 weeks.
Exactly. No, I know.
So
I got a fever.
That's the thing. I've got a fever and a
not
sore throat.
It's not for cowbell either.
See ya.
It's not for more cowbell, boss. It's I got a 99 fever.
We're done. We're done here. We're done here. Time's up.
That is startling, man. Alarms are amazing.
All right. Oh, Mount Rushmore.
Oh Lordy. So these are not surprises at all, by the way.
No, I told you. I told you you'd have. Matt has not seen this list. I told you that you would have.
Yes. No, but yeah.
So,
I mean, I haven't. I have not seen the list.
You have not seen the list, but these are
topics
that you would be surprised about.
No.
Okay. You want to take down all the Confederate statues? I don't give a shit. It's fine with me.
Yes.
Knock them down.
So that
Knock them
okay.
Down.
Here we go. So we've got that argument's gone. It's just so good. It's gone because we agree on that. We agree on that.
Yeah.
Confederates out. Okay.
I also want to be real clear that we never disagreed.
No. Fair. Yes. No. You're anti-Confederate. I'm anti-Confederate. That is universal here on 2Cs. Thank you. Yes.
The Confederate flag. Sure. Get rid of it. With the can I make an exception, please?
Not the
one
generally.
Exception.
Are you gonna say okay? Which one?
The generally.
I knew it was the generally. You heard me say I knew it.
Can we please keep
if
the
it
generally?
comes off of state houses? If we trade it for like off of literally off the flag of Mississippi and we let it be on a fictional car, fair.
Yeah.
It's a real car, I guess.
Well, you heard like the SEC said,
they're going to kick Ole Miss out and shit.
No championship games in the state of Mississippi.
Oh, hell yeah.
Scheduled, I guess, if they have something that's,
nonsense.
like you
got to get rid of that.
You get home field, but
it's like having
nothing scheduled. Okay.
People feel like this is inflammatory, but it's like having the Al Qaeda flag as some state flag or something.
Yeah. Okay.
They were terrorists, but okay, we're moving on.
So we're moving on. We're on board with that.
Yes.
We're on board there.
Fair.
Where I kind of start having an issue with it is when we start getting into the Mount Rushmores, and the conversation of, well, they held slaves or they had goods that were produced by slaves. That's where I kind of get into the founding fathers. And by the way, I watched Hamilton on the Disney Plus.
Amazing. How'd you like it? I think it's gotten mixed reviews from folks.
Here's the thing, man. If I had somebody that is telling me, "Oh, you've got to go to this restaurant. I got the greatest hamburger ever. I mean, it's the best. I've never put anything better in my mouth ever. This is so amazing. This is the best ever." And then you go there and you're like, you're expecting it here,
right?
And say this is average, and it hits here. It's like, I mean, it was fine. And like,
but the expectation game is so important.
Yeah, and so
in
like
politics, we've talked about it. In politics, we've talked expectation game is huge.
Yeah. Huge. So on your Mount Rushmores and taking Lincoln off the $5 bill and stuff like that.
I don't think Lincoln's taking too much fire, but
there's been conversation about Lincoln on Mount Rushmore, taking down Mount Rushmore. Like
yes, Mount Rushmore.
And by the way, I went to Mount Rushmore this time. I think actually 1 year ago today, I was at Mount Rushmore.
Yes,
and like it's cool, but people that spend like a week with their vacation at Mount Rushmore, I don't get it. Like we went there and they had like this lighting ceremony, and literally it was like turning a light on.
Oh,
and we were like, wait a minute, that's it? Like
we might have gotten a heads up on that or something. I think again, like I told you, I've been to it and it wasn't kind of my idea. It would have probably not been a stop on the trip. I don't know. I mean, when you're driving by there, it is kind of weird if you're not, you've never seen it to not go in some way. So I get that
When
totally.
did
But
you
I think
go?
someone had
When did you go? Like, was the
2005-ish.
were they because like just down the road from it now they've got a they're carving another mountain.
Yeah, I
Crazy. I
don't.
think it's Crazy Horse.
The Crazy Horse one, yes, which is I mean a little more appropriate, obviously in my mind for the area, being that it was highly Native American. And that if I did share a picture, it was called the Nine Grandfathers. So like before they carved Mount Rushmore, it already had a name. It was called the Nine Grandfathers, and it was given to by the Native Americans that lived around there. It was very kind of spiritual place for them, very kind of holy. The connection for Native Americans and like nature is very close, and so like them carving that thing up in the first place, to me, it really doesn't have a whole lot to do. And that's the argument. I think the first text we sent back and forth and my biggest argument is this: leave nature alone. Like, if you want to make a statue and put it in Washington, D.C. out of some stone, that you put together, cement, whatever, make a statue. Please don't carve up mountains that are already gorgeous and beautiful with dudes' faces. That I think the argument that you've made so many times so succinctly is like, we may not want those dudes' faces in there at some point. Like, now, I think those guys in particular with Mount Rushmore, they're semi-safe. Like, I think they're okay. Again, Washington did own slaves. I mean, there's a level of like, but again, it's a complicated history.
I always get real nervous when we try to put today's lens on something that happened 200 years ago.
Exactly.
That's where I get real concerned.
But that's the permanence of cutting in a mountain, right? Like that you can't go back and go, ooh, like this was a beautiful mountain. We put this guy on it and we carved his face into it, her face into it, and they're terrible now. So you can't go back. You can't take a statue down. Like those people in Baltimore that dumped Christopher Columbus in the Baltimore, in the harbor, in the inner harbor. God bless we keep bringing up Baltimore. And that's what I told my buddy Kev. I'm like, good on your city, because we had the Chris Columbus conversation, because he makes me very mad.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
I figure we have.
I think we actually did an episode on
probably
Chris Columbus. Here, say hi to Matt right there. Say hi to Matt.
Right yeah, hi, sweetheart.
There she goes.
Hi, sweetheart. Right. I hope you feel better. I'm sorry.
Well, where this actually started, this Rushmore conversation, started with the I have to give credit where credit's due. You have spoken something into existence.
Oh, once in one of these?
Yeah, the Native American changing team names.
Oh, Andy.
Yeah, this is where it started. This is where our conversation started.
It was in some ways, right?
Yeah, because the Redskins they're probably going to change their name, maybe even for this season.
I think
did you see that Nike
sooner than later?
Did you see that Nike pulled down? Like, if you go to Nike.com and search Washington Redskins, nothing.
Yikes!
Nothing shows up. So
pocketbooks always change the thing, man. And Snyder is, if anything, he's like we talked about, cold-hearted businessman, and it eventually he'll have to do something.
And frankly, that's what is going to, when your sponsors start saying, look, dude, it's no different than what happened to Tiger Woods.
100%.
Okay, when he bounced his car off of the fire hydrant. And then all these things start coming out. Literally everybody ran for all these sponsors that were with him. They all ran for the hills.
Of course.
Well, now you've got public sentiment has shifted to, hey, we need to rename this. And so now Dan Snyder and the Washington Redskins are now. I've also worked around enough people to know that when somebody says, we're going to take a look at that. We're going to evaluate that.
What that is a time wasting. It's a stall tactic.
Well, first, what we're going to do is we're going to create an RFP to go out to find a firm that will evaluate if this is something we should do. They will present us a proposal in which
they'll present it to another committee.
Then they're going to
committee.
that committee will go out and find firms that will come up with new names if necessary.
Exactly.
And then you
it's
just
like a
hope
5-year process.
You hope that it goes away.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So Who knows?
Which is
right?
which is again a very decent. Again, if I'm him, that's what he's been doing. I think it's timed up. Time's up though. Does that make sense? Like I do think like that's literally what he has been doing for about the last 4 or 5 years, and like literally he has played all the cards. He has done like it's over for it.
Well,
Now with the Chiefs and the Indians, I think again, and the Braves, teams like that, I think they'll probably hang on, and I think they're actually the ones. I think the Redskins are through it.
I'll be down in a few minutes.
Okay. I think the Redskins are donezo. I think the Chiefs and the Indians are really, and the Braves are the ones going, man, I hope if the Skins just change theirs, then the topic changes, right? And it goes to, hey, we won, and then they're not dicking with us.
Yeah,
Maybe.
and I mean, it's not
a different
unprecedented, but it's unprecedented because again, using a Washington team, right? The Bullets are now the Wizards, right?
Well, obviously it wasn't named after the Bullets, but when you have one of the highest crime rates in the world, like you can't go by the Bullets.
Yeah. So, I mean, team names do change. I do think that it takes a little bit, at some
my
point,
argument on that.
At some point, you really do hope that somebody doesn't target the Browns. Thinking that, kind of on that topic, my guy Ladariel came in and he was like, dude, they trying to cancel Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
And I was like, for what? And he's like,
it's the blackface.
Don't you remember? And I was like, what? He's like, Robert Downey. I was like, oh, I completely forgot.
Yeah, that's been a thing for a second.
Which, and the thing is like they even acknowledge it and make fun of it in the movie.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that it's, man, if they start taking that down and then they don't let us have Blazing Saddles.
Andy, I know, and it's a conversation we've kind of had. It's a tricky line, and it has to be a parody. The people that are saying the N-word in Blazing Saddles are the dummies. They are clearly saying that because they're the bad guys, and so it's a really tricky line. It really is. It's tough. So I think it's probably for the best that it's not happening, and we kind of move from that, but it's tough.
Yeah. Well, and I just think we got to be real careful about.
Now, to your point of like erasing history, though, I will say that I don't know. I don't find that argument compelling because I just don't find I don't find statues and monuments as ways to learn about history, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
that makes
take
sense.
A history class. I wish people would just really read a book, please don't.
In the final 10 seconds on this one,
sorry.
Kara and I were up on the square yesterday. I was very surprised to see that the Andrew Jackson statue has not been pulled down.
Independence is a pretty conservative place in that area in particular, I think, Andy. I think it's safe.
All right, here we go.
Until the county changes the name. Last one. Is this last one?
Last one.
Jason Whitlock. As a topic, are we just not? Let's just talk about him just as a human being, or are we talking about him as like?
Well, so there was there's been some articles that he's sent out.
An article or two, sure.
Yeah.
I've heard a few controversial ones even.
He's I guess my question on him is there's money in being the contrarian.
Of course.
There's attention in being the contrarian.
Toads.
A few weeks ago, Colin Cowherd put out the top 5 best arms in the NFL and left Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes off, right? Now, if he puts out the top 5 best arms and you've got Mahomes, Rodgers, Russell Wilson,
the actual 5, real answers. Yeah. No one pays attention.
Kyle Allen, nobody's like, yeah, whatever. Right. But by leaving Rodgers and Mahomes off, it gets that attention. So
nonsense. I wonder if it is purpose. I don't know if it's purposeful or just ignorance. I don't know.
Having said that,
yes,
and I think you were kind of going there. Is it what he believes, or is he saying, you know what, I'm changing my narrative, and I'm going. If y'all go left, I'm going right. If y'all go right, I'm going left. I'm going to be a contrarian. Or do you think that, hey, this is really where he believes?
Great question. And I think, again, I want to be very careful because I think people can evolve in the way they think. I think people can change their way of thinking in every way. I have, certainly. I think everyone probably has as they grow up. They think differently, So yes, could it be genuine? Sure. Everything that I think evidence that we have in particular, kind of unique to us being here in Kansas City and the past that we have with James Whitlock, all the evidence leads to no, he doesn't believe these things. And these things are intended to make him money and for him to be a contrarian and do those things in every way. Because he has done, this is not there's not consistent beliefs with him from the arc of his career. Now, I would also say that's as an adult. I mean, this person wasn't writing, wasn't like I've changed since when I was 14 from now, but I haven't changed a whole lot from when I was 30 to now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And Jason Whitlock has changed a lot from like 30 to 50. You know what I mean? Like in that 20-year span from when he was writing in the Kansas City Star to what he does now, it's a totally different thing, and it feels purposeful. I hate to speak for the man's, I'm not him,
Right.
and if he's had some sort of weird, like revelation that these are the things that he believes in, so be it. But it's hard to buy.
So so the article that we talked about yesterday was,
Yes.
I forget what it was. It was basically Patrick Mahomes is the evolution of quarterback. It had something to do with what did he say about Kaepernick? It was Mahomes is the evolution, Kaepernick is the
It's
I forget. Yeah, I
like the
kind of forget
starting
about it.
off, but the article is a lot about right. Like it's like a post-racial thing. His argument basically is saying that the NFL is now above racism. Like they stop calling the NFL racist. Basically, that from and he used Patrick Mahomes' $450 million plus contract as part of the argument
Sure.
to kind of counter the Kaepernick argument, to kind of say, well, here's what happened to Kaepernick. Yeah, okay, here's this. And then, but wait a minute, here's literally a kid of mixed descent, right? He's also, because Kaepernick isn't, that I don't know. I'm careful with
Kaepernick's.
terms.
I think
I'm careful.
Kaepernick was adopted.
Well, whatever it is,
I
he's
think he was
not.
adopted by
He's a
two
mix.
white
He's a
people.
mix, right? But I don't
Yeah.
think he's fully African American, though, right? Like I don't, and
Yeah.
I don't think, and we know that Patrick isn't, So there's a level of he's trying to make the comparison, okay? Of here's two very similar kids. They've been treated in different ways, and so you can't have it both ways. You can't look at Kaepernick's scenario and go, the NFL's racist, but then turn around and go, well, but they did pay Patrick Mahomes, the same color of kid, $450 million, and so you can't look at both in a bubble, using that kind of phrase of the time. But go
I'm
ahead.
also going to go with, and I know you get mad when I say this, but
Okay.
it's,
Thank you for preparing
I'm
me.
going to prepare you for it. If LeBron says, I don't like this, the NBA executives and brass listen up. If Patrick Mahomes appears in a video saying, hey, we need racial equity, Roger Goodell is going to basically, if the face of the league, the face of a franchise steps up and says, yeah, hey, this is something that
Sure.
that I believe, the league is more inclined to listen to it. Whereas like Colin Kaepernick, I know that
Your level of like he's not that good, basically, is what you were
he was
saying.
a
He wasn't
middle of the road, top 40.
Right.
He wasn't like if you look at
But
the
Andy,
top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, I think
sure.
you can make an argument that at least 60% of them are African American or mixed or something like that.
Right now, 100%, absolutely. And so, but again, it's a false equivalence though that he's making, because I love Pat Mahomes. I just said that he deserves $450 million. He deserves every bit of that money. And I love him to death. I literally said I wanted to wear a mask that said protect, Patrick Mahomes, because it's that important. Like he's like, But on the flip side, what Patrick Mahomes, how he has spoken out and in the timing that he has spoken out. Now, part of that has been because when he became an athlete, has been much more guarded and much less impactful than what Colin Kaepernick did. Does that make sense? So
Sure.
it's hard to make the equivalence argument because, yes, I was very proud that the first statement that Mahomes put out was a little bit meh. Then LeBron, honestly, again, my new favorite player, LeBron James, weirdly.
2020 is a weird thing, man.
2020, that's all you need to know to C's fans is that now somehow I'm a freaking LeBron James fan. But I think he literally got in Mahomes' ear and was like, hey, dude, let's be a part of this, and let's get out there and be, step up. And he did. And I think that's amazing. But what Kaepernick was doing is a whole different level of like activism, right? That Mahomes is still kind of in this safe place where Kaepernick's down here in really, so I don't know.
Well, and I think that this is an area where we differ. Because I saw on
one area, we agree on most. No.
Yeah. This is something where I would like to see the politics out of sports. And I think you are definitely, politics and sports are intertwined.
Oh my gosh, so much. But yeah, life is politics.
And so, yes. I saw this guy on Twitter. I guess he was in a Costco, and some lady it was a mask thing.
And the guy yelling at her.
Yeah,
and yelling at him about how he was threatened.
Yeah, something. I don't know. I saw something, but basically, this guy got fired because the lady took a video.
Yes.
And then they're like, hey, find out where this guy works.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome. I honestly love these things when they happen personally. That guy was a maniac. But okay, but go ahead, sir.
Until it happens to you.
Andy, I would not be videoed doing that. And Andy, I'm sorry. That's incorrect in the sense that I'm taking a risk. I'm taking a risk every day doing what we're doing. What I do on my other thing, being a teacher is very delicate to what you can say and do. And so if I decide I'm making a conscious decision, every word I say on this, every word I say in the public could be perceived or caught on by my bosses, and my bosses could fire me because of that. So I have zero sympathy for a man screaming at someone that he felt threatened and walking towards them. It was the most gross thing. I'm sorry. Your actions have consequences, and losing a job, Andy, is not the end of the world. That's the other part that just drives me insane is that this guy will get a job at a different firm, at a different company in the next week or two.
Yeah. Or he'll be back at that firm.
Exactly.
In the next 2 weeks. Yeah,
exactly. Sure. This whole cancel culture thing that people are freaking out about drives me insane. Yeah. There is no cancel culture. There is no, it's a myth. People might lose their job. Something. Look at the gal calling the police on the guy, in the dog park, right?
Yeah. She lost her job.
She lost her job. I think there was a story not long ago that she already had a job back and everything, and she's not even a story. I'm surprised we even remember her.
Wait, did she get her job back at the?
I don't think it was that. No,
that place, or did she get at another
place?
Someplace else, right?
Right. So you're exactly, because once you get out of the news and things kind of settle down, you'll be fine again. I guess I get concerned about that we overreact to some of those things. That hey, that guy was kind of being a jerk. He, come on. I don't know.
Well, yeah. There's, Twitter. I don't know, man. There's been this past week or two, I've really been thinking, and is it maybe just time to set Twitter down?
No, I know. It's kind of like my side job in a sense.
Yeah, because it's summer. We know when you're in summer. We know when school's not in session.
Well, there's that. Yes.
Summer Matt is all over Twitter.
Summer Matt has a Twitter addiction that's pretty gross. But part of it is that new thing, doing another thing that does kind of have a little bit of Twitter.
Right. You have to be on Twitter, but then you see all the other stuff that then you have to go down the.
Yeah, which I am on that too. Route. I love it. Andy, listen, you're my gateway to this. So in some ways,
it always
you're
goes
an enabler
back
here. Yeah, it's all your fault.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, this is true story. I mean, there's nothing to say with that. Now, you couldn't have known what would happen, with it, of course.
I would say that one thing we can agree on as we wrap up here
Yeah.
that fake Phil Prince, FPP, not welcome in any schools.
No, that was pre-COVID. That was like no. That was
mask, no mask.
he had like COVID restrictions before there was COVID.
Oh,
like
hey, can I make
you can't be in a room more than 10 people. You can't. You have to wear a mask everywhere.
All the COVID guidelines are based on what people have requested this guy do.
Right, exactly. 6 feet of distance, All
right, so our time has officially ended on the Whitlock thing.
I'm glad that we didn't talk a ton about him. That poor guy.
I did want to go back to one thing on masks. One thing that I'm pro-mask. Why masks should be required. Okay, if I can make an argument.
Please do.
Dude, there are a lot of ugly people out there.
I mean,
there are a lot of ugly people that now the mask has really just kind of.
The mask can be fashionable, man.
Dude, people roll in with their mask on. Like I had a dude come in today. He had a mask on, sunglasses, and a hat.
I know. That's a little much. You look like a robber or something. It's
okay,
hard.
man.
It's hard.
Cool.
Like, what are you gonna rob me of these smoothies, man?
And then, yeah, I just think that there's just a lot of ugly people out there, man, that need to be in a mask. So I think that
there's silver linings, dude.
I think if you really would have just led with that, I would have been on board.
And honestly, you think about these school restrictions, Andy. I mean, we talked about this. I've talked with Kara about this or something. Like if we get classrooms, if they hire more teachers and we get classrooms of like 10 to 12 kids, it's a win. Silver lining. We've always said, every teacher will tell you, less kids, the better.
Yeah,
and if this happens that they do that, then God bless, that would be.
The thing that I'm worried about, though, is that they get real comfortable with the online learning and they start getting rid of teachers.
I know.
Right.
Andy,
because now we're going to limit your classroom to 15 to 20 or 10 to 12 or, whatever. Well, if they balloon up, they got to let people go once that.
It's a double-edged sword, man.
Once the coronavirus goes away. Okay. Well, we went out and we hired, normally we would staff this building with 30 people. Now we have 60.
Right.
And unicorns, of course.
Yes.
Because we have to have teachers for our unicorns. But we now that we're back to normal, right? Now we've got to get back down to that number. So then who do we start letting go, right? Do we?
No, man.
Is it the people that we brought in to offset, or do we just pool everybody together and now we go, hey, we got to cut 30 and all right, Mr. Campbell, you are number 31.
Right. No doubt.
We're going. We had 4 fourth grade classes. We now only need 2.
Yep.
We think these 2 are better.
Now that's kind of happened anyway. I mean, that kind of happens anyway. Does that make sense? Like that's literally, how my building started with 3 fourth grade teachers, then it went down to 2. So they literally had to just get rid of someone.
Right.
It was just ended up being just pure seniority. It wasn't better teacher. That's the other part that's kind of gross about teaching but it's also part of the
seniority.
Protections.
Yeah.
It's a tricky thing because it's very seniority based, right? So like, but to me though, and maybe we should I know we're wrapping up. My argument is always going to be, and it's something that I threw on there, my Twitter thread, but like my kids within a month, they know, and I tell them every day, my number one job is to get you home safe. Like my kids' safety, like I think I get it on both levels, right? Because as a parent, like I want my kid at home safe and sound and in one piece. As a teacher, I want to deliver my kids back to their parents in one piece and safe and sound. And that to me is always going to be like in the back of my head all the time before the education piece, because that's the hard part. And Kara is so right. What we're doing now and what that hybrid situation is not good. It is not education. It is, she is so right. But again, that safety piece gets in the back of my head and it's hard for me to, but again, and so we see what it's all about. Those little sweethearts back there like that.
Yeah. Yeah. These little guys right here. All right. Do you want to talk?
That belly, that belly, is it getting better? Is it tummy feeling better?
How's that stomach feeling? Matt wants to know how your tummy's feeling.
Yeah.
You tell him right there.
Better. See,
how's your tummy?
See, Mr. Steve over here, he's a teacher, so he knows when
what's your
belly ain't hurting no more.
What is your unicorn's name? Tell him right there.
You tell him.
You tell him.
You tell him.
Okay. All right. Well,
What could it be?
we're gonna wrap up and go see if we can get her some soup.
Yes, that's right. Take
All
care
right.
of that belly.
All right,
I'm glad
buddy.
she is feeling better.
This was good stuff here.
So
We
much
did-
fun.
did a
Enjoyed
good-
that.
did a good job,
Visuals.
Yeah,
Pardon the interruption.
We brought visuals, man. We're okay.
We'll probably
We
get sued. It was so good. Like,
yeah.
We'll probably
the
get copyright.
PTI is going to come in and go, "This is our concept."
Right. Look at us.
All right, buddy. I will catch up with you next week.
See you, brother.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Tell Matt bye.
Unicorns. Bye.
Unicorns.
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 See you, dude.
See you, brother.